Hey, welcome back to the channel, guys. For those of you who've been enjoying the My Favorite WWF LJN Tournament, thank you so much for tuning in every video. So, after round one, the initial goal was to kind of give you a My 10, and that was to kind of give you a feel for those figures that I thought gave me the best opportunity to win the tournament. Well, I didn't give that list out after the first tournament or after the first round. So with the conclusion of the second round, I'm going to give a feeler for my top 10 selections of who I feel could be the victor of this third annual My Favorite WWF LJN Tournament. Now, the 10 figures I have selected are not guaranteed to win this tournament, but they're just figures that I feel like after talking about them, reflecting on the different attributes, that includes play pose, that includes character name and recognition, that includes color scheme and design. A lot of the things that I really like and enjoy about a wrestling action figure, these are some of the figures that I feel have the best opportunity to win this tournament. So these are the 10 figures I've selected. And after the conclusion of this video, if you guys like, in the comments section, you can tell me if any of these figures are someone that you think has the best chance of winning this tournament. How would you rate them? Or, heck, after reflecting on this tournament, are there any names or any figures that you've looked at who have moved on to the third round that you think that have the best chance of winning this tournament? As you guys already know, after looking at this tournament, nothing is written in stone, and this tournament is already extremely different from previous tournaments. So, we're seeing shockers left and right. So, it's already been pretty freaking spectacular. Well, we are going to start off with the most obvious selection. And like I said, obvious, Bruiser Brody. Well, Bruiser Brody is already a two-time champion. Okay? He has already won my first two tournaments. And I thought about not incorporating him in this tournament, because as a two-time champion, let's move on. Let's give someone else the opportunity to be victorious. Or at the very least, put him automatically at the end and let other figures battle it out and get to the end, and let them kind of do battle at the end and see who wins then. But I want to incorporate him with the rest of the figures, because as a blind drawing in this tournament, I think it's best to kind of see him battle it out with potential figures that I feel could potentially finally unearth him as champion. Now, he could repeat as a three-time champion. I still covet this figure like crazy, so we'll see what happens. Coming in and again, none of these figures are in order. I'm just basically pulling figures out. So, I'm not saying that he's my number one most obvious or he's my number 10. Again, I'm just pulling out figures at random. My second selection from Random Treasures, Zeus. Zeus himself is actually a tournament winner. I did conduct the My Favorite Random Treasures tournament, and Zeus was crowned victorious of that tournament. Like Bruiser Brody, not only is he a tournament champion, but he does have a lot of the specifications that I am interested in, i.e., he has name recognition. Tiny Lister is a fantastic actor. He does come with accessory. He does have a fantastic play pose. His color scheme is incredible. I love the way the figure glistens. It is just an overall solid piece. Easily the number one greatest Random Treasure exclusive figure. Hands down, one figure that if it does come down to Brody and Zeus in the finals, Bruiser Brody could be in trouble. Next one up, and this one is a non-shocker to anybody. Anybody that has watched my tournament or has watched my videos already knows the deal. Sid Vicious. So, growing up, Sid Vicious Galoob was my all-time favorite wrestling action figure. Yes, Hasbro figures. Hasbro was my toy line of childhood. I had several Hasbro figures. I had a handful of Galoob figures. I played with the Ric Flair figure. I played with the Scott Steiner and the Rick Steiner. I played with figures like, I don't know, Lex Luger and Ron Simmons. Even those two figures, I absolutely despised them. But it was the Sid Vicious figure that gave me the most enjoyment. And through the years, if you asked me what was my favorite toy growing up, I would always have to go back and talk about the Sid Vicious Galoob. So, for 30 plus years of my life, Sid Vicious has always been my favorite wrestling action figure. And that's why I will always say Sid Vicious is probably not my number one favorite figure. It's my number 0 favorite figure. It is my George Washington of wrestling action figures. I might say another figure is better than this figure, but guess what? I will still classify Sid Vicious as my all-time favorite figure regardless. It will always be number 1 no matter what. And in a tournament like this is a figure that has a bona fide chance of winning this tournament. Fantastic play pose, name recognition for a character I gravitate towards. Now, he does not have the overall color scheme that I care about, but he may not be the flashiest, but he does have a fantastic look. Love Sid Vicious. Definitely has a chance of winning this tournament. Next selection, also from Random Treasures. We are seeing a theme here. It appears that Random Treasures is very heavy in my selections. Mr. T is a bona fide contender to win this tournament. Sadly, Barbarian, which is a very similar figure to Mr. T, was eliminated in the first round. Otherwise, I figure that Barbarian could have been potentially a candidate to be in my top 10. But I also feel like Mr. T offers more eye-popping colors with accessory. Yes, I kind of feel like Mr. T would have been a more higher rated figure than Barbarian and better rubber. So maybe Mr. T would have still been on my list where Barbarian wouldn't. So, but Mr. T most definitely is one of those characters that I feel like will deserve to be on that list. I like his pose better than Bruiser Brody. He comes with accessory, great look, great aesthetics. I'm looking at this figure right now, and I'm getting excited. I'm telling you right now, if it comes down to Brody and Mr. T in the finals, we might see something really special happening. This is the next figure we're looking at is brand spanking new to the collection. And in fact, I got this figure right towards the end of round 1. So he barely made this tournament by the skin of his teeth. We are looking at Butch Reed. Now, sadly, the Random Treasures Galoob 2-Up was eliminated in round 1, which was a darn shame. I think that figure actually went up against Barry Windham and was eliminated. But if we're looking at a Butch Reed figure, either the Galoob 2-Up or this particular one, I will take this Butch Reed any day. Now, with the built-on vest, now this is kind of a mixture of both resin and rubber. Now, it's more rubber than resin, but it is a absolutely gorgeous piece. Like Mr. T, same playable fighting pose. And putting the two against each other side by side, I Don't even know, man. Oh shoot. I'm that is a tough decision. Now imagine having those two go up against each other in the next round. How do you even choose right there? Now that's like an entire video in of itself, trying to choose between those two. Next selection. And this is what I'm talking about right here. Big freaking Boss Man, okay? Big Boss Man to me is one of those original figures that should go down in every single fan's database as the greatest original LJN figure of all time. Name recognition, accessory, eye-popping color scheme, thickness, weight, playable fighting pose. What is there not to like about this wrestling action figure? He's got everything. How Big Boss Man has not won either of my first two tournaments is unbelievable. So I am crazy excited to get towards the end to see how well this figure does. Does he make it to the end? Sadly, the first tournament, I don't even think he even made it out of the second round. So with the way that things have been going in this third tournament, you may not see him advance much further. It's possible. In fact, you may not see any of these figures advance much further. That's the fun thing about doing these tournaments. So, Big Boss Man is another candidate that I'm putting in my list of 10 that I feel have the best opportunity to win this tournament. Number 7. Colonel Mustafa. I have never been a fan of the Iron Sheik figure, but my God, the customizer who did the Colonel Mustafa figure might have created the greatest LJN figure of all time. What they did by creating this Iraqi soldier was absolutely insane. Everything, by the way that they yanked down on the beret, to the placement of the flash on the beret, by incorporating ribbons and medals over the chest, the cord placement, okay, even the buttons, the creases on the shirt and pants. I mean, this is just an overly, the unit patch, everything on this figure is insanely good. Colonel Mustafa could be this year's winner of the My Favorite LJN Tournament. And where are we at right now? We are at 2, 4, 6, 7 figures. Number 8. Though I am not a fan of the original, there is no doubt that Ricky Steamboat also deserves to be a potential candidate to win this tournament. Not a fan of the original Ricky Steamboat, but when you look at the 1990s era Dragon, this is how I remember Ricky Steamboat, and this is the variant that I want all fans to kind of reflect on, because everything from the built-on cape accessory to the way that the lizard print on the pants or the scales of the pants, absolutely immaculate. This is arguably one of the greatest LJN figures ever made, and sadly, I actually thought that was going to be a Galoob custom when I first purchased it. I talked about that in the past. I thought it was a Tom Zank custom, and because it was a Tom Zank custom, or a Tom Zank fighting pose, I thought it was a Galoob custom, so I was kind of actually disappointed when I got an LJN scale figured in. The eBay description didn't specify size or anything like that, and when you look at the pictures, it doesn't exactly it doesn't give any kind of comparison or anything. It looked a lot smaller in photograph than. So it looks a lot smaller in photograph, so that doesn't really tell you anything. And like I said, they didn't really give a description or anything, so. But that's okay. I mean, it's one of those figures I looked at, and I'm like, I got to do a LJN tournament. You get a Colonel Mustafa in, you get this Ricky Steamboat figure in, you got to do another LJN tournament. You got to see if is Bruiser Brody still your favorite figure. That is how good these figures actually are. Coming in at number 9. Upgraded King Kong Bundy. Think about it this way. King Kong Bundy original, with his arms down at his side, is probably, where did I put him? Like maybe number, I would probably say maybe number, 13 if I had to guess, 14. And he has one of the worst play poses I have ever seen. And he's a number 14 figure for me. If you gave that figure a real play pose, he would become one of the greatest LJN figures ever made. A customizer I bought this figure from, I paid about $30 for it, and you take the arms, you give him the SD Jones playable fighting pose. SD Jones, which already has probably one of the greatest LJN figures ever, you put him on King Kong Bundy, and guess what? Dare I say, if Big Boss Man is not the greatest LJN ever, this upgraded King Kong Bundy just might be. If King Kong Bundy does not win this tournament, I would be shocked. That is how good this new figure is. Everything from the added weight, girth, size, playability, name recognition. I mean, when you look at the LJNs, there's really only 3 go-to bad guys, really. There's Nikolai Volkov, there's King Kong Bundy, and then there's the Iron Sheik. I mean, I'm not really going to go with Roddy Piper. I look at Roddy Piper more of a good guy in my eyes. So those are really the 3 bad guys. Andre the Giant, Big John Studd, sure. Yeah, Big John Studd, of course. But, I mean, King Kong Bundy, to me, he's the most, I don't know. I just enjoy him more. He's just the most go-to, in my opinion. And with that play pose, insanely good. Number 10. I actually got 3 figures right here, and I don't even know who I'd go at who I would choose as the last one. But number 10, I am going to select Kamala. If he stands. I'm going with Kamala at number 10. Why Kamala? I have done 2 previous LJN tournaments. The first one, Kamala was a semifinalist. He was in the semifinals, and he lost to Big John Studd. So in the semifinals, it was original on original. Kamala lost to Big John Studd, and it was custom on custom. And Bruiser Brody, of course, won the custom matchup, and it was Studd and Bruiser Brody in the finals. In the second tournament, Kamala and Big John Studd were back in the semifinals. That time around, I actually decided to push Kamala over Big John Studd, and Kamala found himself in the finals. So Kamala always has a very deep run in the My Favorite LJN tournament. Absolutely perfect play pose. What I talk about with Andre the Giant, Big John Studd, and Hulk Hogan. Legs separated, bended knees, arms separated. The way that the arms are positioned, perfect play pose, body slam pose. The legs are separated, be body slammed. Kamala is a top 4 playable wrestling action figure from the LJN line. I rate him at number 4. To be honest, he could be a number 1. A perfect wrestling action figure. He could win this tournament. I haven't decided yet. We're going to find out. Special recognition. I didn't go with him, but Andre the Giant was one of those figures I potentially considered that could be on my top 10, but I didn't go with him. I also potentially considered the Ultimate Warrior as a potential candidate. I didn't pull them out, but I thought maybe one of the Series 1 Hulk Hogan's were potential candidates. And there were so many other figures. I didn't even pick out Big John Studd. As I mentioned, Big John Studd, a semifinalist or finalist in either of the first 2 tournaments. I didn't even choose him to be in my top 10 this time around. So that just shows you how deep these tournaments go. How many amazing figures. 21 minutes, guys. This was supposed to be like a 5 or 10 minute video, and I did not plan on talking this long. But hopefully you did enjoy this video, and it's a nice precursor to round 3. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you in the next video. Goodbye, guys.